here comes another exciting episode of Top Hat Gaming.
Hey, so after watching a video from the future Braden, by the way, go subscribe to him. There's a video about how he doesn't like Superman, basically. I like Superman, but that's beside the point. I had the idea to do a video on my top 5 favorite superheroes, but then I'm like, wait a minute, something else is a better idea. I should do top 5 favorite video game characters. So I'm going to do that now, and I will be using amiibos to represent them all. By the way, I have a different Kirby today. I have 2 Kirby amiibos and 1 Kirby stuff, which has been my other videos. You can't see him. He's behind a mountain of clothes. So, meet this new Kirby. Anyway, I'm going to be cutting and showing all the amiibos whenever I get to a new character. So, yeah. And, as you can probably tell by looking at these guys, by the way, I'm very tired. I'm filming this at 10:30 at night for some reason. I'm bored. These characters are Mario and Luigi. It's me, Mario. It's me, Luigi. Anyway, my favorite character, my number 5 spot is Super Mario Brothers. Specifically the 3D Marios. So I guess it would be Mario Brothers by Luigi. Just kidding. I like any of the Mario games basically, except for a select few. Because there are some bad ones out there. Every series has a few bad characters. Few bad games though. Also, I want to point out now that this is technically a top 5 list of my favorite video game. Video game series. But they're all Nintendo related. They're all Nintendo because Nintendo's my favorite. So all 5 of them are going to be Nintendo. So this isn't specifically a list that it's top 5 Nintendo series. It's just my top 5 gaming series. They happen to be Nintendo. The reason I like Mario a lot is because they're very diverse. He has Mario Kart, Paper Mario, Mario and Luigi series, Super Mario Brothers, Mario Galaxy, Mario Sunshine, Mario Party, and a lot of others. And first of all, he's arguably the most well-known video game character of all time. And without him, a lot of other video game characters wouldn't exist. In fact, Nintendo basically saved gaming with him. If you don't know that story, look up like the video game crash of like 1980, I think. Basically, what happened was video games like home consoles, like instead of like Xbox and stuff, they had the Atari and back then and stuff. Those were starting to sell really badly to the point where Walmart and stuff, well, not Walmart, but any not video game store, but like grocery store or anything, was like, we're not going to sell these anymore. They're not good. And then people started making exclusively arcade games again. They were not making home consoles. But then Nintendo, with Mario and the power of Rob the Robot. Rob the Robot was a little toy. I have 2 amiibos of them. A little toy that came with the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, their original console, that basically would play certain games with you. You could put the controller in his hand and you play. It didn't work very well, but it was a thing. So Nintendo was able to lie and say, oh, it's not a video game console, it's a toy console. And because of that, a lot of stores fell for it and let them put it in their stores. And then Mario sold really well in there, and then stores eventually realized, hey, this is really a video game console, but it's selling well. Let's give more video game consoles a chance. Because if that didn't happen, with Mario and Rob the Robot both becoming popular, you wouldn't have your Xboxes, you wouldn't have your PlayStations or anything. You also wouldn't have your PlayStation if another event happened where Nintendo was working with Sony to make a console, to make a console which is going to be called the PlayStation. Nintendo kind of was like, we don't trust you anymore, and then they went off with another company, and that ended up failing horribly, making the Philips CDI, which is awful. Look up Philips CDI Zelda and Philips CDI Mario, is awful. And then Sony was just like, let's just create our own console, and then they became Nintendo's biggest rival. So you wouldn't have that either. So basically, Nintendo created their own rivals. But yeah, like I was saying, you wouldn't have most of your well-known video game characters or video game consoles without Mario. On to the next part. Okay, and I have to sit in an awkward position so I can show all of these at once. My next series is Kirby. Kirby is just a very fun character. Everyone loves him. He's adorable. He's he kind of one of Nintendo's biggest mascots behind Mario, Pikachu, and Link. It's really weird sitting like this. I'd have to do this so I can show all of them at once, because amiibos are smaller and harder to show on the camera. And yeah, so Kirby wins the 4th spot, and I think almost all Kirby games are good. Also, I want to say now that Kirby is meant to be a character, like games are meant to be easier because they're literally meant to show people how to play video games. That's the original purpose of Kirby. I forgot where I heard that, but I know it's true. Also, Kirby was almost yellow at one point. He was gray when they made the first game grayish white. He was blue at some point but they decided to stick with pink, which is why you can find those colors. Any game where you can play like multiple different colors of Kirby, you can always find those. I look really creepy right now. I think I'm about to like eat one of the Kirby's. No. On to the next part. Alright, really hoping my camera stays up now, because I got it balanced in a proper way. That probably will not stay balanced in for very long, but whatever. As you can tell, my third favorite Nintendo series is Pokemon. We have Jigglypuff, Pikachu, Mewtwo, Charizard, Lucario, and Greninja. Can you even see Greninja? You can barely see him. But he's a ninja, so that would make sense. He actually is. He's a frog ninja. The Greninja means that. Pokemon is one of the most creative RPGs of all time. I mean, you actually get to capture and train your people you battle against. Not people, but the Pokemon. Evolution and all that, it just makes it very unique. Every Pokemon playthrough is unique. You're not gonna just find the exact same Pokemon as your friends. You're gonna start off with a starter, and you're probably gonna choose one that's different from your friends. It's gonna grow up and be your own little thing. And you really, if you like games a lot, when playing Pokemon, you will build a emotional connection with them, and that's the cool part. Like Chimchar, my favorite Pokemon of all time, and his evolutions are tied now. So I'm sorry, I dropped something. Like I really care for the Pokemon, like I would like a pet. Not as much, of course. I would care more for a pet than would a digital creature, but it's still very important to me. And pretty much every Pokemon I've ever caught that like I've used actively is important to me, including anyone here, because I've used all of these Pokemon in battle for real, except for probably Jigglypuff. I still like Jigglypuff though. He's very adorable looking, and his amiibo actually bends a little more than the other ones do, like the stand. I think it's meant to show that he jiggles, which is funny to me. Yeah, I just always like. I think the gameplay is pretty tight. I think almost all of the Pokemon designs are pretty good, and I just think that the emotional aspect of it's really cool. Plus, I think the idea of gotta catch them all is super catchy, and it really it really does get you to want to catch them all. Now, as someone who's been playing Pokemon since 4th Gen, but has gone back and played other previous games, only one game I've ever caught them all. And for those of you who know, even though it's the catchphrase, that's not what you really have to do. That's just a side mission to catch every Pokemon. There's almost 800. I think there actually is over 800 Pokemon at this point. So catching them all, making you do that in the main story would be insane. Instead, it's to become the leader, to beat the champion and become the champion by beating the Elite Four and stuff. For the new game, Pokemon Sun and Moon actually had a different route. I mean, it's still the champion, but instead of you being the Elite the 8 gyms, you do like trials and stuff to show that they were islanders, and because Sun and Moon take place on like on Alola, which is a parody of, well, not parody, but the Pokemon edition of Hawaii, because almost all Pokemon areas are real life places just Pokemonified. And Pokemon is just a very diverse and cool series. On to number 2. Well, that's weird. None of these characters are from the same series. In fact, 3 of them have already been on this list. What could this represent? Except for the fact that they're Nintendo's 4 biggest mascots, and they are also the 4 biggest mascots of Super Smash Brothers. I'm being quiet because I think some people in my family might already be asleep, but you get the point. I love Super Smash Brothers. It's, in my opinion, the greatest fighting game. One, because it's unique with the whole system of how health works, and it isn't like the normal fighting games where it's just health bars. You kind of have to. It's different. You know what Super Smash Brothers is. If you don't, go watch some gameplay. I'll probably do gameplay when they have Smash Brothers Switch. So wait for that. Wait a few months. Maybe even a few years. Because typically speaking, we get Smash Brothers games like 3 years after they're announced. Which is part of the fun, because every few months they announce a new character, and there's all these theories on what character they're going to do, and that's super fun in my opinion. I love stuff like that. Like Super Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS got announced my like 8th grade year. Well, officially announced. They said they're going to have it before, but that was like the first time we had a trailer, and on the first day we had Villager, Wii Fit Trainer, and Mega Man. Now, those don't sound that exciting other than Mega Man, but like they were the newcomers, but they were really exciting to be like, whoa, they're adding Wii Fit Trainer. That's interesting, kind of cool, even though she's an exercise game character. It was interesting. So I just can't wait for that again with the new Smash Brothers. And basically, I love other fighting games. I love Mortal Kombat. I kind of like Street Fighter. I like Tekken. I like all of them. And I even like other crossover fighting games like Injustice. I love Injustice. But to me, Nintendo's my favorite fan base. Nintendo's my favorite fan base of all time. So to me, Smash Brothers destroys all those games, in my own personal opinion. Because first of all, like I said, it's unique. Also, and just lead characters matter way more to me than any other characters ever will. Link is literally my favorite character in all of fiction. Like, not just video games, all of fiction. Seriously, he goes that far for me because I love Zelda. Hopefully that didn't give away what my number one pick is. So basically, I've always considered Smash Bros. The greatest fighting game, even though it's a lot different from a normal fighting game. It's more of a party fighting game is how I would describe it. It's also that it's 4 players instead of 2 players like a normal fighting game. Actually, the newest Smash Bros. Was 8 players. You could do 8 players at once. It was hard to do. You had to have a lot of controllers and a lot of players, but you could do it. It was possible. It was a mode. Some of the stages were not allowed in 8-player mode because they were afraid it would cause lag to have that many players and stuff going on in the background at the same time. So the more complicated stages were banned from 8-player mode. But other than that, wasn't that big of a deal. Also, they have the best mini games, collectibles, and everything. Like, first of all, I love the fact that you can unlock characters in it. In newer fighting games, you can only get new characters by DLC, and maybe if you beat the story mode, like with Injustice 2, you get Brainiac, but that's it for beating the story mode. With Super Smash Brothers, you always have like at least like 10 characters to unlock, and that's fun for me. Also, you can unlock trophies and other game modes and stuff and do certain things. Trophies are just little collectibles that give you info about characters. Some of them even be characters not even in the game, so you get to learn about them too. And then the modes are just awesome. Like they had Subspace Emissary and Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and that was really cool. Look it up. It's Arctic Plains, like a story mode kind of for like them all crossing over and fighting together. Also, I love the story behind Smash Brothers. They don't talk about it that much anymore, but in Smash Brothers, you're not playing as the characters. You're not really playing as Link. You're not really playing as Pikachu. You're not playing as Mario. You're not playing as Kirby. It hardly ever mentioned anymore, but it shows in the first game, you're playing as a kid who's just imagining all of this, which is really cool to think that it should take place with some kid who has some obsession with Nintendo like I do, just imagining all this. It's a cool concept. It doesn't take away from the fighting game at all, because I feel like the game itself isn't impacted by that. Just a cool little detail. Although I think nowadays it's different. It might be no longer be the same, but that was cool. Anyway, on to my number one. And my number one pick, if I didn't make it obvious enough, is The Legend of Zelda. First of all, you love Skyrim, you love Fallout, you love not Fallout, but actually, yeah, maybe Fallout. Skyrim, all that stuff. Those games wouldn't exist if it weren't for Zelda. Zelda created the adventure genre. Well, that type of adventure genre. Well, I guess they didn't create it, but they made it popular. So anything that you like that's like Skyrim related or Uncharted or anything like that, think Zelda. It's not Uncharted. Well, maybe. Because essentially Zelda was the first open world game. And it was made in like the 80s, so it was a pretty big deal. So thank Zelda for all that. If you're not thankful towards Zelda, then you don't deserve games like Skyrim. Because this is the father of it right here. I'm mostly using Skyrim as an example just because I feel like they're the most comparable. Not to say that you can't like Skyrim more. I'm just saying if you like Skyrim, you should respect Zelda for creating it. I like Zelda more. And I think Skyrim is still an amazing game though. I love the plot of most Zelda games. There's a few bad ones. But I just love how it's not one hero, one princess, one evil guy. They're being reincarnated. Almost every Link is a different Link. There's a few Links that are the same Link. Wind Waker Link and Phantom Hourglass Link are the same Link. Ocarina of Time Link and Majora's Mask are the same Link. A few Links are the same, but for the most part, they're just centuries apart, being reincarnated as a hero and having no memory of their previous lives. I've always viewed it this way, that there's two souls. Like there's the soul of the hero and the soul of the character. And when a Link dies, the soul of the character goes on to the afterlife, while the soul of the hero is regenerated into the next with the next soul of the hero character. I always imagine that way. So each link is a different link, but they're connected through like half their soul. That's how I imagine it basically. That's the same way I imagine like the Doctor in Doctor Who. Like when he regenerates, there's a part of him that's the character and one part that's the Doctor. So when he regenerates, the character goes on, but the part of the Doctor goes into the next one. Yeah, that's how I imagine it. I also have always enjoyed just how expansive and cool the Zelda universe is. They're very creative games. I love the Triforce. You can see on Link's shield right here. Yeah, that little yellow triangle thing. The top one is power, which Ganon has. The left, wait, yeah, it would be left from our point of view, not from Link's, would be the Triforce of Wisdom, which Zelda has, and then Link here has the right one, being Triforce of Courage. You can see them tattooed on their arms, or not really tattooed, they have their birthmarks, but and they just, Ganon is evil and was reincarnated by an evil god, and he demise, which was the original form of Ganon that you do not see for a while, and you see in Skyward Sword, which I'll get to in a minute. He was reincarnated a few times, eventually became Ganon, and the god that created him gave him the Triforce of power and basically just allowed him to try and destroy these guys. I'm tired, so this might not be the real history, and I'm just making up stuff. I know the history of Zelda, but man, am I tired and not making any sense. And I also love it that Zelda timeline is not straightforward. First of all, 3 different separate timelines. There's one timeline that splits into 3. The game did not take place in the order that it exists in. In fact, Skyward Sword, which is the second newest main series Zelda game, third non-main series because Triforce Heroes, it's the second newest and it takes place first. Out of all the games we've gotten so far, I'm sure they mentioned there's another hero before him. I keep saying hero weirdly. I'm saying it like they do in Big Hero 6, like hero, like the main character. I keep saying it like that. So right now, that's like the earliest point in time. I love it that the games don't take place on it, it's, first of all, it makes it so we make theories on where they take place. Like the original Link, who was in at least the actual first 4 games have the same Link, those being Legend of Zelda Link's Adventures, the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, and the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, which is a dream, so I guess I don't really count that much, that 4th one. But A Link to the Past, even despite the fact that they're all the same Link, A Link to the Past, despite being the 3rd game, takes place first out of those 4. It was the first prequel. We got a ton of other Zelda prequels eventually, and they're the last part of one of the timelines. The first 4 games are the last part of one of the timelines. Wait, I think I might be wrong about the Link from Link's Awakening. I might be wrong. So that's so interesting to me that we don't know what's going to go on with the timeline, because it could be we could have one game that takes place in the middle of the time, and we have a new timeline sometimes. The timeline splits Ocarina of Time, which are what these guys are kind of based off of, Ocarina of Time / Twilight Princess, Link, and Zelda, and Ganon. For those of you who don't know, even though Ganon's the main character, he doesn't exist in the timeline for a very long time to Ocarina of Time. Even though he'd been in the game before, those were games that were made before, it didn't take place before. So Ganon was created in that game when he became Ganon, when he went from Ganondorf to Ganon. Ganondorf is human form, Ganon is beast form. And that caused a split in time that created 3 different timelines. And that's what I love about Zelda. I've been going on for way too long about Zelda, but that is my top game of all time, so that's why I love it so much. See you guys next time, and I think I'm going to still work on that top 5 favorite heroes list on another day. Probably a Marvel one and a DC one, 2 separate lists, even though I like DC a lot more. Anyway, talk to you later.
Hey, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Check out the next video if you want to. Peace out.